Back to the channel R.A.M. And this is a channel where we talk about relationship and marriage and family life. And before I start my topic for today, I want to thank those who have been subscribing to our channel, and to the returning subscribers, I want to say thank you so much. And keep on subscribing to those who have not subscribed, and like the video and comment down below. And my name is R.A.M, and today our topic is so inspiring, so entertaining, because we are going to look at how what makes two people to be compatible in a relationship. In a relationship, there are things that bring people together which they share in common, and there are those differences that they have to actually appear in the two of them, because these people were born in different families, different environments, and therefore they are bound to have those differences. And today we are going to look at two wonderful people, and we are going to look at their compatibility and their differences. We can put it in quotes because it's not actually differences, it is according to how they were brought up and their environmental influence and their cultural background. And these two people we are talking about, we all know them. We are talking about AM Marwa and Rocio, the girlfriend. And we know AM Marwa, actually it is the travel commando. He has traveled all over the world. And the girlfriend Rocio, who also loves traveling. So those two people, we want to see their compatibility and their few differences. And we want to first look at their traits. What makes them to be compatible? What are the traits they share in common? And one of the traits that they share in common is the heart of people. These two people, they really love people, and we saw it very clearly during the 1 month party. AM Marwa was holding a party to open his villa. And we saw that he was dealing with so many people, and he was able to deal with all of them without getting tired, without getting depressed, without actually getting annoyed. Now, we were talking about AM Marwa, and we are seeing that he has a heart, a very big heart to accommodate people. And let us look at his girlfriend, Rocio. When Rocio came from Argentina and landed in Kenya, actually specifically in Nyambohanse village, she found a lot of people because the party was going on. What happened? She actually adapted so fast, started mingling with people, shooting videos, shooting collabos with the people who are there, and actually we could see her interacting with everybody, meaning that she also shared the trait of having a heart of people. She was able to blend so well with the people that were there, and actually assisted Marwa a lot in the interviews, in the interaction with people. So when Marwa was always receiving the gifts, she was always there as a support system to this guy, meaning that these two can actually combat well when it comes to their social life with the people, and they were able to accommodate so many people, both of them. So we actually are looking at the traits they share in common. And number 2 trait is that both of these people loves traveling. And it is so clear because when they met while Rocio was in Mexico traveling, and Marwa had gone to Mexico on a traveling mission. So both of them are actually compatible in terms of traveling and adventure of going to different countries. They share that in common, and actually they can be a great support system to each other as they travel all over the world. Number 3 trait. What makes them to be compatible? Let us look at Rocio. When she arrived in Nyambohanse, she found different culture, different food, and actually I want to talk about the food. She was so able to adapt to the kind of food that was being cooked. Remember that this is a village, countryside, and therefore there is no much she can select when it comes to food. It's not as a city setup. And she actually adapted well and she coped well. We could see the food she was taking was the food that was being eaten by everybody in the villa, including Marwa herself. What are we saying? When these two comes together, they can be able to adapt well to the type of food that each in their continent are having. Because we saw even Rocio cooking to AM Marwa the type of food they take in Argentina. One trait that these people have in common is their love for countryside life. Why am I saying this? We always hear AM Marwa saying he wouldn't like to move to the city life. He loves the countryside life. And actually, it's like the whole family of AM Marwa, they really love to stay in the countryside. We always hear him encouraging people, why don't you go to the countryside? It is even more cheap, it's even more easy to adapt there. What happened to Rocio when she came to the countryside village life? She actually adapted so well, and she was able to blend with the people in the village. Actually, I could see her going barefoot in the compound, meaning that she really loved the countryside life, and she was able to blend with the people, to love the people, to love the environment, to love what they do in that village, which was very important, because it is actually very hard to actually accommodate or rather adapt to the village life so easily. Even when you are not born in the village life, actually when you are born in the village life and you go to city and stay for a time, when you go back to the village, it becomes very hard to adapt. So I can say kudos to Rocio, because she was able to adapt well and actually to fit in the village life. Now we are through with the traits. We have actually covered 4 traits, and we are going to look at what trait can bring these two strongly together. Because in a relationship, there is that one trait that makes people to blend so easily, to accommodate, or rather to do what? To be strong in the relationship together because of this one trait. And the common trait I can see with AM Marwa and Rocio is the love of traveling. This is a common trait that they share both in common, and that can really bring them so close together, because they can share their adventures together. It makes them to be so close to each other, to learn each other's weaknesses and their strong points, and to make their relationship strong and long-lasting. However, in spite of the fact that we have seen the traits that they have in common, there is always the differences between two people in a relationship. And these two are not an exception. They have those differences that are all common to all the relationships. And the differences that they have, actually the first difference that they have is the fact that they come from different cultural practices, different culture. We can see that Rocio actually, the other day, they were talking about their cultural differences. And Rocio was saying in their country or in their nation, they don't agree with polygamy. While Marwa, in their village, Nyambohanse, polygamy is the order of the day. So there is that one difference. And let me tell you, a relationship can work even with the differences when they are navigated and people come together and they agree on how to handle those differences. So one of the differences they have is their cultural background, and we can see that AM Marwa has the polygamy background, while Rocio has the monogamy. Is it monogamy? Yeah, background. The other difference I saw in both of them is that Rocio was actually discussing with the mother-in-law, Cograt's mom, that she would not want to have the children so fast because she has her values and her beliefs and her priorities. Let me call them priorities. What she would want to do first before she brings the children in this world. And I actually saw that sensible, because you cannot bring a child to this world without having plans. So there are those priorities that all of us, despite where you come from, there are those priorities we put first before we bring a child on earth. And I am Marwa, on the other hand, according to the cultural beliefs, and actually Africa, let me talk about specifically Africa. We believe that when you are above 30, you should actually start bringing in the children. And when you are beyond 30, we consider you are too old. And therefore, these two differences, obviously, they have to sit together and agree on how to handle the difference in the two cultures. And then the other thing that I found that they have a bit of a difference is in the fact that of the cultural practices in Africa and the cultural practices in the Argentina, where Rocio comes from. The fact that Rocio, in their country, they are used to holding hands, even in public. And I could see her complaining that I am Marwa always refuses to hold her hand when they are outside their compound, outside there in the public. While in Rocio's Argentina, that is normal. In Africa, especially, let me talk about in the village. Because when it comes to the city, people hold hands and there is no big deal. Like in the capital city of Kenya, where I come from, Nairobi. People hold hands and there is no much big issue in holding hands. But when it comes to the village, especially in a village core, it is very odd to see people holding hands, and actually the old people start questioning. Obviously, they are going to sit down and agree on that, on how they will handle it best. And those are the differences I saw in those two. We have talked about the traits and we have talked about the differences between people. We didn't talk about the personalities because we don't know much about these two people, but we are always told that the opposite attract. According to what we have discussed, you can comment down below whether you think these two people are opposite and whether they can have a long-lasting relationship. Guys, we have talked a lot about these two people, and I want to talk in general about a relationship. When you are coming together, two people from different background, from different upbringing, from different environmental area, they are bound to be differences because of the way you are brought up, and both of you, the environmental influence in your upgrowing, and so many factors that can make you to be different. How do you navigate in these differences so that you can create a strong relationship and a lasting relationship, and you can make sure that your marriage works? Now, when it comes to the differences, you have actually to sit down and agree on how to handle your differences. And of course, when you sit down to agree, there must be the willingness to compromise, because there is no way you can come to an agreement without some compromises. So you have actually to compromise, especially when you come from different cultural background. There is a lot to be compromised so that you can stay together and your relationship can be strong. The other thing, you have to learn to listen to one another, because I've realized in a relationship, listening skills must be very, very high. And actually, because everyone wants to be listened to. Actually, in normal circumstances, we all want to be heard, we all want to be understood. So there must be a lot of understanding of one another. The other thing that you should do as a couple in a relationship is that you should look at the strong points of each other. Every person in this world was created by God with some positives that are very strong and some negatives. So it is very, very important to concentrate in the positivity of the other person. And actually you try to work on the negative side, both of you, so that you can be able to cope and move on with the relationship. And I think that is all about the compatibility in a relationship. And you can comment down below whether these two couples we are discussing are compatible, whether these two people we are discussing are compatible or not according to you. But according to me, I think they are compatible. They only need to work on their differences and all will be well. So we wish them all the best as they go on with their relationship, as they go on in their traveling adventure, as they plan their future together, and even we hope we are going to see them in their marriage, enjoying their days in marriage and their old days in marriage. Bye bye. See you in the next video.